handful of Silicon Valley billionaires having that much power over our elections to silently and deceptively shift vote outcomes.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? If there wasn't enough distrust with social media, Facebook and Google are at it again. A new court case has just emerged where a woman claims, and there seems to be some probable cause behind it or some proof or some validity to these allegations, that Facebook is spying on you when you're using Instagram. If it wasn't enough that Facebook can control what kind of content you're looking at, or if it wasn't enough that Facebook can spy through your camera when you're looking on Facebook to see if you're smiling, they'll show you more of that, or if you're frowning, they won't show you any more of that, or they're tracking your location all the time, or they're selling your data to credit card companies or other ad and marketing companies so they can profit off of the things of your life you didn't even know about yourself. If that wasn't enough, this new court case that just emerged might make you second guess about how often you're using your Instagram or your Facebook accounts.
Facebook is being sued for allegedly spying on Instagram users. The way it allegedly works, according to this suit, is that when you're scrolling through Instagram on your mobile phone specifically, that the camera is watching you.
It's really remarkable, that orange light for when your microphone is on and that green light when it's on. But in regards to Facebook, why would it be so remarkable? They continually tell us one thing and then they wind up doing something else. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg it's almost like he's Dr. Evil. No joke.
Maybe now the government might step in, or someone might step in, or people might step back a little bit on how much power we are giving these gigantic companies. And then as far as Google, there has been many allegations that Google is controlling either possible votes, or is taking down certain campaign ads, or is controlling the public viewing to lead you in one way or another. Now, that might not seem like much. You might think, well, I already hate the current president since that's what the news tells you to do. What would it matter if they're trying to send you towards a better option? As for many arguments like this, where does it stop? These gigantic companies seem to be taking more and more on a daily basis, or if they're not taking more, it's just more and more press is being shed on these different stories where we are learning about how much these companies are taking advantage of you. If it doesn't seem to already be a problem on how much power these now trillion-dollar companies have, that eventually it is going to be Google or Facebook running for president. But don't take my word for it. Take a look at these different news stories and you tell me what you think. Another thing that bothers me about this Google thing is it was brought up during the 2016 elections that Google might be controlling votes or controlling public perception on certain presidential candidates. Then it was brought up again by President Trump, and everybody blew it off because apparently he's just a crazy maniacal psychopath. If that is the case, how come it keeps popping up again and again, and there was light on it in 2016, and now that he's saying it when he's president, people blow it off because he's just saying it because that's what the crazy President Trump does? Well, I would like you to take a look at this from a psychologist and Ted Cruz, and you tell me what you think.
Dr. Epstein, I found your testimony incredibly powerful and incredibly concerning. And if anyone draws news out of this hearing, I would encourage you to review very carefully Dr. Epstein's testimony. And I'd like to take a moment to make clear several things. First of all, as I understand your background, you're not a Republican and nor are you a conservative. Is that accurate?
That would be an understatement.
And indeed, you're the former editor-in-chief of Psychology Today.
Correct.
So you're a respected academic. You testified before this committee that Google's manipulation of votes gave at least 2.6 million additional votes to Hillary Clinton in the year 2016. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I want to make sure I understand. You personally supported and voted for Hillary Clinton.
I was a very strong public supporter of Hillary Clinton, yes.
So you're not dismayed that people voted for her, but your testimony is that Google is, through bias in search results, manipulating voters in a way they're not aware of.
On a massive scale, and what I'm saying is that I believe in democracy, I believe in the free and fair election, more than I have any kind of allegiance to a candidate or a party.
And looking forward, if I understood your testimony correctly, you said in subsequent elections, Google and Facebook and Twitter and big text manipulation could manipulate as many as 15 million votes in a subsequent election?
In 2020, if all these companies are supporting the same candidate, there are 15 million votes on the line that can be shifted without people's knowledge and without leaving a paper trail for authorities to trace.
Now, you described the Go Vote reminder, and you said it wasn't a public service announcement, but rather manipulation. Can you explain how? I'm not sure everyone followed the details of that.
Well, sure. If on Election Day in 2016, if Mark Zuckerberg, for example, had chosen to send out a Go Vote reminder, say just to Democrats, and no one would have known if he had done this, that would have given that day an additional at least 450,000 votes to Democrats. And we know this without doubt because of Facebook's own published data, because they did an experiment that they didn't tell anyone about during the 2010 election. They published it in 2012. It had 60 million Facebook users involved. They sent out a Go Vote reminder, and they got something like 360,000 more people to get off their sofas and go vote who otherwise would have stayed home. The point is, I don't think that Mr. Zuckerberg sent out that reminder in 2016. I think he was overconfident. I think Google was overconfident. All these companies were. I don't think he sent that out. Without monitoring systems in place, we'll never know what these companies are doing. But the point is, in 2018, I'm sure they were more aggressive. We have lots of data to support that. And in 2020, you can bet that all of these companies are going to go all out. And the methods that they're using are invisible. They're subliminal. They're more powerful than most any effects I've ever seen in the behavioral sciences. And I've been in the behavioral sciences for almost 40 years.
You know, our Democratic colleagues on this committee often talk about what they view as the pernicious effect of big money and big corporate dollars. What you are testifying to is that a handful of Silicon Valley billionaires and giant corporations are able to spend millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars collectively, massively influencing the results of elections. And there's no accountability. You said, we don't know. We have no way of knowing if Google or Facebook or Twitter sends it to Democrats or Republicans, or how they bias it, because it's a black box with no transparency or accountability whatsoever. Am I understanding you correctly?
Senator, with respect, I must correct you.
Please.
If Mark Zuckerberg chooses to send out a Go Vote reminder just to Democrats on Election Day, that doesn't cost him a dime.
Fair enough. Do you happen to know who the Hillary Clinton campaign's #1 financial supporter was in the year 2016?
I think I do, but please remind me.
The #1 financial supporter of the Hillary Clinton campaign in the 2016 election was the parent company of Google, Alphabet, who was our first witness. They were her #1 financial donor, and your testimony is, through their deceptive search methods, they moved 2.6 million votes in her direction. I would think anybody, whether or not you favor one candidate or another, should be deeply dismayed about a handful of Silicon Valley billionaires having that much power over our elections to silently and deceptively shift vote outcomes.
Again, with respect, I must correct you. The 2.6 million is a rock bottom minimum. The range is between 2.6 and 10.4 million, depending on how aggressively they used the techniques that I've been studying now for 6.5 years.
Wow, could you say that again, please?
The 2.6 million is a rock bottom minimum. The range is between 2.6 and 10.4 million votes, depending on how aggressive they were in using the techniques that I've been studying, such as the search engine manipulation effect, the search suggestion effect, the answer bot effect, and a number of others. They control these, and no one can counteract them. These are not competitive. These are tools that they have at their disposal, exclusively.
If any headline comes out of this hearing, that should be it.
Because every time things like this will pop up, most people have a little bit of ruffled feathers for a little while, and then they go back to not caring, because what's the average person gonna do? What the average person can do is be knowledgeable of when these things happen, so you know at least who is spying on you and who isn't spying on you, who is taking advantage of terms of service or who isn't. I only want to present you with the evidence apparent, and you can make up your own decision. If you want to continue to do nothing, or to be giving all these technology giants all of your power, go for it. I have been known to use Instagram or Facebook from time to time as well, but what I try to not do is just allow them to control my news or to control my life. Because if you've ever been talking about anything and then it's coming up on your Google feed, or then suddenly it's being advertised to you, it has happened to me more times than I could think of, and I don't even have the newest and best iPhone. But I have been talking about, and even sarcastically talking about certain products or a movie or what have you, and then suddenly that is in the next ad. Either it's popping up on YouTube, it's popping up in Google search, it's being advertised to me on Amazon, whatever it might be. I just want people to be aware. It's not like you can stand up and go walk to the nearest Google headquarters or Facebook or whatever, or go meet Mark Zuckerberg in traffic and give him a piece of your mind. I just want you to be aware. And being aware can help you live your best life, because I'm trying to do the same. Thank you.
Spin it again.
See you next time.